You are not sick yet, but your life is already over. The year is 1298. You are 35 years old in Ashworth, a village in Yorkshire, England. You're a carpenter, a good one. Your hands know the grain of oak before the plane touches it. Your neighbors bring you work. Your children sleep under a roof you built yourself. The smell of cut wood and hearth smoke is the smell of your entire life. 3 white patches have appeared on your left forearm over the past month. You told yourself it was a reaction to new timber. Your wife applied herb poultices and said prayers. The patches neither darkened nor disappeared. They grew slightly larger, their edges more defined against your weathered skin. Sounds like something that can be treated, right? It cannot. And in 1298, the treatment does not matter anyway. What matters is who sees them first. You are 35, and the examination is today. Someone noticed you scratching at your arm during Mass. In a village where everyone knows everything about everyone, this is enough. Father Benedict has been informed. 3 lepers from the settlement outside the village walls have been brought in because medieval examination practice used afflicted individuals as reference witnesses. Their expertise in recognizing the disease's signs considered reliable evidence. The examination is not private. It is a community event held before a panel of the priest of the village reeve and several respected elders. You are ordered to remove your clothing. You stand exposed in the cold air of the church while men you have known your entire life assess your body for signs of divine punishment. They prick the white patches with pins. You feel nothing. The nerve damage has already begun, which you did not know because you had no way of knowing. They examine your eyebrows for thinning. They listen to your voice for hoarseness. They consult the attending lepers who nod with the particular gravity of men delivering a verdict they have already delivered on themselves. The verdict is unanimous. What they do not know, what no one in 1298 knows, is that leprosy, caused by the bacterium Mycobacterium leprae, is one of the least contagious diseases in recorded medicine. Approximately 95% of people carry natural immunity to it. Even among those who do not, transmission requires prolonged close contact over extended periods. The casual contagion that medieval people fear is largely unfounded, a conclusion that will not reach medical consensus for another 6 centuries. This knowledge does not exist yet, and its absence is about to destroy you. You are still 35, and the church is preparing your funeral. The ceremony is called the Separatio Leprosorum, the separation of the leper from human society. It is documented in medieval ecclesiastical records across England and France, and it is exactly as final as it sounds. You are brought to the church for a special mass called the Missa pro leproso. It is not a celebration. It is a funeral for someone who is still breathing. You are made to kneel in a grave dug in the churchyard while Father Benedict casts earth upon your head and pronounces the words, "Be thou dead to the world, but alive unto God." You are legally dead, while standing upright, while your heart is beating, while your children are sitting 20 feet away. The prohibitions that follow are read aloud so the entire village can witness them. You may never enter a church, tavern, mill, or market. You may not walk narrow paths where you might brush against a healthy person. You may not touch goods in any market without purchasing them. You may not wash in any stream or spring used by others. You may not go anywhere without your identifying garments and your warning device. Then you are dressed in what you will wear for the rest of your life. A gray robe from head to foot, a wide-brimmed hat that casts your face in shadow, gloves that cover your hands, and a wooden clapper, 2 flat pieces of wood on a hinge, that you will carry everywhere and sound constantly so that healthy people can hear you coming and move away. You were a respected craftsman this morning. By evening, you are a walking announcement of your own contamination. And the worst part is that you can see your children from here. They are watching. They do not understand yet what they are watching. They will. You are 35 and 1 week older, and the cottage is being sealed. Your tools, your furniture, the cradle you carved for your youngest, the table where your family ate together for 11 years. All of it is either burned or left to rot inside a sealed building, considered too contaminated for habitation by healthy people. Your wife, Margaret, is forbidden from living with you or touching you, though she is permitted to bring food and leave it at a specified distance. Your new home is a hut built outside the village boundary. Rough wood, thatched roof that leaks, stone floor, a small fire pit. It is, with dark irony, cleaner than most Roman tenement housing and worse than any structure you ever built for a paying customer. Yorkshire in 1298 is entering what historians now call the Little Ice Age, a period of particularly brutal winters with temperatures that drove ice through walls like this one. You gather sticks, you store what food charity provides. You prepare to survive a winter in a structure you would not have sold to a paying client. Your body is also changing in ways you cannot stop and medieval medicine cannot address. Leprosy attacks peripheral nerves first. The numbness spreading from the white patches means you will increasingly fail to feel injuries to your hands and feet. Those injuries will become infected. The infections, untreated, will cause tissue loss that medieval observers will attribute to the disease-consuming flesh, the image that terrified entire civilizations. What is actually happening is nerve death, followed by injury, followed by infection, followed by amputation of extremities that could no longer feel the damage being done to them. You did not cause this, you cannot reverse it, and you will watch it happen across years while the village you built furniture for continues its life 200 yards away. You are 36 now, and you are learning to beg. Begging is not optional, it is the primary economic activity available to you. You are forbidden from practicing your trade, owning property, or engaging in most forms of commerce. The city's salary, paid to executioners, and the professional fees paid to surgeons do not apply here. You receive whatever charity people choose to throw. The begging itself is a codified ritual of humiliation. You kneel at the roadside with your clapper sounding. You call your request from a distance. Coins cannot be placed in your hands. They are thrown to you or left on a cloth. Food scraps are tossed in your direction. You express gratitude for whatever arrives, regardless of how it arrives. Pilgrims are your best source. Medieval theology taught that giving alms to lepers was spiritually beneficial. It was, effectively, buying indulgences with bread crusts. And pilgrims traveling to holy sites were particularly motivated to perform visible acts of charity. You learn which roads they travel. You position yourself accordingly. You learn to distinguish between those who will throw something and those who will throw stones. Children throw stones. This is considered sport. You cannot retaliate. The adults who raise those children do not intervene. You're also, quietly, developing skills that nobody outside the leper settlement expected you to have. Other lepers in your region have formed an informal network, not a community in the way your village was a community. The distances are too great and the legal restrictions too severe for that. But a network of shared information, which roads are safe, which villages provide charity, which seasons bring enforcement of the more severe restrictions and which bring relative indifference, which injuries can be managed without sensation and which will kill you if ignored. One of the older lepers in the network was a healer before his diagnosis. He teaches you wound management for injuries you cannot feel, using visual inspection to substitute for the sensation your hands have lost. This is not medieval medicine as the church practices it. This is practical survival knowledge passed between people the official medical establishment has declared beyond treatment. You are 38 now, and you have accidentally received better anatomical training than most physicians. Executioners developed medical knowledge from handling bodies. Lepers developed it from inhabiting them while they failed. The progressive damage that leprosy inflicted gave long-term sufferers detailed practical understanding of nerve function, infection progression, and wound management that healthy physicians, restricted from corpse examination by religious law, simply did not possess. People begin coming to you at night, quietly, through the unofficial channels that exist in every village between what the law permits and what people actually do. A dislocated shoulder, a persistent skin condition, an infected wound that the local physician has addressed with bloodletting and made worse. You treat them. You charge nothing because you cannot legally accept payment directly. Sometimes food appears near your hut the following morning with no explanation. You do not ask for explanations. The same hands that sound a wooden clapper to warn people away are the hands those people knock for quietly after dark. You have been carrying this contradiction for 3 years, and you still have not found language adequate to describe it. You are 40 now, and something has happened in France that your network is talking about in frightened fragments. The year is 1321. Reports are traveling through the networks of lepers and displaced people that move along roads faster than official messengers. Because official messengers are not watching for this information, and lepers have nothing to do but watch. In France, a conspiracy theory has taken hold. Lepers, it is claimed, are poisoning wells and water sources as part of a plot orchestrated with Muslim and Jewish collaborators to spread their affliction to healthy Christians. The accusation is entirely fabricated. It has no factual basis of any kind. This has not slowed its spread. Under torture, the legally codified interrogation method that medieval courts applied to extract confessions, lepers throughout France are being forced to confess to crimes they never committed. The confessions are then used as evidence to justify further arrests. The logic is circular, and deliberately so. The persecutions moves through southern France like weather, emptying leprosaria, burning settlements, executing hundreds of people whose only crime was developing symptoms they could not control. King Philip V of France initially issues royal decrees authorizing local investigations. Institutional sanction licenses what might otherwise have remained local violence. By the time the momentum exhausts itself, not through moral awakening, but through the arithmetic of having killed most of the available victims, the leper population of France has been decimated. The persecution does not reach Yorkshire with the same force, but the logic of it, that a vulnerable population can be eliminated through fabricated accusation, legally authorized torture, and public execution, and that this process can be described as justice. This logic travels everywhere. You're lying in your hut in the dark, thinking about a woman named Marie in Toulouse who was dragged from a leprosarium, tortured until she confessed to poisoning wells she had never been permitted to approach, and burned alive in a public square before a crowd who believed they were watching the delivery of God's justice. And you are thinking about how thin the wall is between her situation and yours, and how the wall is made not of law or morality, but of the current direction of fear. You are 42 now, and winter is the true enemy. The disease, the social exile, the begging, the loneliness, all of it is manageable in the way that sustained suffering becomes manageable, which is to say, you have restructured your entire psychology around enduring it. Winter is different. Winter is logistical. Fuel is the first problem. You are forbidden from gathering wood in areas used by healthy people. You scavenge the margins. Fallen branches, dried grass pressed into dense blocks, anything that burns. On the coldest nights, the fire is insufficient, and you wake to ice formed on the interior walls of your hut. The numbness that has spread progressively through your hands means frostbite can develop without warning. You have learned to inspect your extremities visually each morning, in the way a shipwright inspects hull timber, looking for discoloration, swelling, any sign of damage the material has sustained without your knowledge. Food stores run low by February. The roads that bring charitable travelers are empty during the worst weather. You eat less. Your immune system, already compromised by years of inadequate nutrition, responds to the reduced intake by making you vulnerable to the respiratory infections that move through leper settlements every winter and kill a percentage of residents that the healthy world never counts because the healthy world was not watching. Leper communities had measurably higher winter mortality than summer mortality. This is in the historical record. It reflects not the disease but the conditions imposed by exile. The inadequate shelter, the disrupted food supply, the isolation that prevented anyone from noticing when a person had stopped being able to tend their own fire. You survive another winter. You are 43, you're thinner, and your left hand has lost 2 fingers to a combination of nerve damage and a winter infection that progressed while you slept. You treated it as well as you could. It was not well enough. You are 44, and your daughter is getting married. You know this because Margaret still comes, not often, not openly, under cover of darkness, leaving food at the agreed distance, sometimes waiting long enough for the conversation that has to be conducted across 30 feet of empty space in low voices so no one in the village hears. Margaret told you about the marriage 2 weeks before it happened. The young man is a blacksmith's apprentice from a village 12 miles away. Far enough that the family history is not immediately known, close enough that it will eventually surface. On the day of the wedding, you position yourself on the hillside above the village where you can see the church door without being seen. You watch your daughter walk across the churchyard in a white dress that Margaret made from cloth she saved for a year. You watch the door close behind her. You sound no clapper on this hillside. There is no one to warn away. The wood in your hand is silent while the church bells are not. The man who should have walked her to that door, who should have given the blessing, who should have danced at the feast afterward, watching through the distance that the law requires, carrying the unchanged love that the law cannot reach. Medieval theology offered lepers the consolation that earthly suffering guaranteed heavenly reward, that their visible affliction marked them as chosen by God for special spiritual attention, that they were blessed among people. This is cold comfort on a hillside in the rain, watching your daughter through a distance you did not choose. But you watch until the bells stop. You watch the whole thing. That much at least no law can take. You are 47, and you have been asked to help with something. A small community of lepers has formed 3 miles east, centered around a better-built structure funded by a minor noble who was diagnosed 5 years ago and had enough resources to create something more substantial than individual huts. The noble, a former court administrator with an education, is organizing the residents into a functioning community with shared labor, shared food storage, and a rudimentary system of care for those whose conditions have progressed past self-sufficiency. He has heard about your carpentry. He wants repairs made to the main building before next winter. He offers food, shelter through the coldest months, and what amounts to companionship, the presence of other people who understand the specific texture of this existence without requiring explanation. You go. The work is slower than it would have been 12 years ago. Your hands are not what they were, but the knowledge is still there. The understanding of load and grain and joint that the disease cannot touch because it lives in the mind rather than the fingers. You adapt your tools. You work in shorter sessions. You teach 2 younger residents what you know, which is the oldest human transaction available and which costs nothing and loses nothing in the transfer. The community that forms around this small settlement is not the village you lost. It is smaller, rougher, built from deprivation rather than prosperity, but it has the basic architecture of human society. Shared meals, informal hierarchies of respect based on contribution, care for the weakest members, the transmission of knowledge from those who have it to those who need it. The people the world declared dead are, in the margins where the world stopped looking, stubbornly alive. Here is what your life as a medieval leper actually reveals about the civilization that cast you out. Medieval Europe built a system that was medically wrong, morally catastrophic, and socially self-defeating. It exiled the skills, knowledge, and labor of thousands of people based on a disease it did not understand, and a contagion risk that was almost entirely fictional. The ceremony that buried you alive while you were breathing was not the worst part. The worst part was that it worked. Society functioned. The village continued. The market ran. The church filled on Sundays. It continued without you, and it told itself this was justice. The leprosy that consumed your fingers and your social standing is now curable with a 2-week course of antibiotics costing less than a meal. The bacterium that medieval civilization treated as divine punishment yields completely to modern medicine. The fear that drove the ceremony, the exile, the burning of furniture, the stoning by children, the judicial massacre of 1321. That fear did not require leprosy to function. It required only a visible difference and an authority willing to name it dangerous. That part has proven considerably harder to cure. You watched your daughter marry from a hillside. You built furniture in a leper settlement that nobody outside it would remember. You taught 2 young men to read grain before a plane touches it. You were dead to the world for 12 years, and you were alive every single day of it. Click the card now or miss our next episode, where you live as an enslaved person on a sugar plantation in 18th century Haiti, and discover that the most successful slave revolution in human history began in exactly the place the world was least expecting it.